Many years ago, some people called pilgrims lived in England. They were not happy because their king would not let them go to the church of their choice. The pilgrims left England and went to Holland.
They did not like it there because the customs and language were so different. After a few years, they decided to come to America. The Pilgrims started with two boats, the Mayflower and the Speedwell. The Speedwell soon started to leak and both boats had to turn back. The leak could not be fixed, so some pilgrims stayed in England and the others crowded onto the Mayflower.
This was a very hard time for the pilgrims. The food was largely meat that had been salted or dried, and dry biscuits. They seldom built fires to cook or keep warm because of the danger of burning the ship. Many people were seasick. Others were sick because they did not have fresh food to eat.
There were many storms and the waves beat hard against the ship. This made the pilgrims afraid of what happened next. It happened on the trip. A baby was born to the Hopkins family and his name was Evans. After 66 days, they arrived in America. It was good to be on land. They had no houses to live in and had to stay on the Mayflower while the men were building shelter. The Pilgrims' first winter was very hard. There was a little food and many of them got sick and died. The Wampanoags were friendly and helped the Pilgrims. One of the Wampanoags, Squanto, was a good friend of the Pilgrims.
The next spring, the Wampanoag helped the Pilgrims plant their crops. They grew well and were harvested in the fall. Everyone was so thankful that Governor Bradford decided to invite the Wampanoag to a huge feast. Chief Massasoit sent some of his braves hunting in the woods, and they brought back wild deer and game. Their feast did for 3 days. This was the first Thanksgiving. In March, an Indian named Somoza visited Plymouth settlement. He told them of Squanto, who spoke English, and said Chief Massasoit was visiting the Pilgrims soon. One sunny day, Massasoit and 60 Wampanoag came to visit. Squanto spoke and said, Welcome, Englishmen, the Wampanoags and Pilgrims agreed to be friends and live in peace. Squanto lived with the Pilgrims. He taught them many things that helped them survive the New World. He showed them where wild berries grew and which plants were good to eat. Squanto also showed them how to put 3 hurries in each hill according to make the soil rich. The Pilgrim girls had many tasks around the home. They carried water and gathered wood for the fire. Some of their other tasks were to help prepare food for the family and to turn meat on the spit so it would not burn. Sometimes they had to rock a younger baby in his cradle while they did this work. Then the fall babies were gathered for candle making. When the wax was melted, they dipped the wick into the hot wax many times until the candle became large enough to use. Then, when it gave off light and a sweet, spicy smell. Both boys and girls attended church in the meeting house. The family marched into it to the beat of the drum. The church service lasted for 2 hours. If anyone fell asleep, they were tickled by one of the deacons to wake them up. In cold weather, there was no fire in the meeting house to keep them warm. Hot coals were put in metal push-horns and taken to the meeting house where it could be shared by the family. Pilgrim boys helped hunt for food. Squanto taught them how to snare rabbits and squirrels. He also taught them how to use a bow and arrow and to shoot deer and wild turkey.
During the different seasons of the year, Squanto showed the Pilgrim boys how to dig for clams and to catch eels and lobsters. Squanto also showed them where to find blueberries and cranberries. It was wet where the cranberries grew, but hook berries tasted good with wild game.
The Pilgrim boys learned to play wampum games. They ran races and may have played lacrosse. It is a wampum game using a long cup-like racket and a hard wooden ball. The Pilgrim mother and girls worked for many days preparing food for the feast. As a celebrant and bringing pumpkin house arrived for the celebration, they brought 5 fresh deer for the feast. There was an abundance of foods from the harvest. After eating, races and contests were held. The Pilgrims created with their muskets. The Wampanoags performed several dances. One was called the Koi Dance. At the end of the dance, they throw magic seeds on the fire. The seeds pop into white fluffy kernels of popcorn. This surprised the children and they were delighted when they tasted their first popcorn.
The first Thanksgiving lasted for 3 days, and this was the first Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much. There went the totem pole. I would also like to thank, I've been practicing her name all day, Mrs. Giesecke.
This is Giesecke.
Giesecke, thank you. She cut out and she made the forms for all 26 vests. Every child made a Wampanoag vest. So I would like to thank her for all the hard work. All right, so it's a little bit of a tight squeeze, but we want to have a social. So I'll just dismiss the second graders to their tables to feast, and then